Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and give this video a like. Georgie and Mandy's romance was doomed from the start by the Big Bang Theory, but young Sheldon may easily salvage it. Despite having Sheldon as its title character, the popular CBS sitcom has made it apparent in recent years that it is no longer about him. The story of young Sheldon is not solely driven by him. Each Cooper family member has a fascinating story to tell. Following their emotional infidelity with Pastor Rob and Brenda Sparks, George and Mary have had to examine their marriage closely. Missy, meantime, has begun to rebel because she believes her parents are constantly ignoring her. Young Sheldon's connections to the Big Bang Theory were its primary selling point when it was approved. With previous seasons of the series relying on their relationship, the project provided supplemental viewing for fans of the nerd-centric sitcom. Because of this, plots typically focus on providing Sheldon's childhood tales with more context. But in the end, CBS understood that young Sheldon could only succeed to the extent that it relied entirely on the Big Bang Theory. However, the authors had to exercise caution to avoid going against the accepted canon even if they wished to elaborate on their narrative. The romance between Mandy and Georgie is a perfect example of this. The Coopers have undergone numerous upheavals as a result of Mandy and Georgie's unplanned pregnancy, which was set up in young Sheldon's 100th episode. But after some difficult times, the couple's situation has finally stabilized. In the young Sheldon season 6 finale, they are finally engaged to be married following the birth of baby Cece. Everyone is celebrating, especially because they are so deeply in love with one another. Although everyone is anticipating Mandy and Georgie's wedding, which is anticipated to play a significant role in young Sheldon season 7, their romance has a predetermined conclusion because of the Big Bang Theory. Georgie didn't make an appearance until the conclusion of season 11, in contrast to Mary and Missy, who both made appearances in season 1 of the Big Bang Theory. It was Sheldon and Amy's upcoming wedding that prompted his introduction. Although he had already been mentioned, his journey to Pasadena provided additional information about him in the sitcom. Having several wives was part of that. This was supported by young Sheldon, who mentioned that Georgie got married for the first time when he was 19. This implies that even if he and Mandy do end up getting married, they will eventually split up, though it is unclear why at this time. Fortunately, this narrative conundrum has a simple solution. Jim Parsons' adult Sheldon gives viewers fresh insight into what the future holds for its cherished characters, even though young Sheldon is a prequel. Mayim Bialik's character Amy was previously in the spin-off, which led to the disclosure that she and Sheldon have a son called Leonard. Howard Wolowitz, played by Simon Helberg, also provided a voiceover for the engineering episode of young Sheldon. But CBS can fix this problem without even bringing in Jerry O'Connell's adult Georgie. Adult Sheldon only needs to mention that George has returned to Mandy in some form since the Big Bang Theory. In fact, young Sheldon has done something similar. A pager, a club, and a cranky bag of crinkles, which airs in season 4, reveals that Missy will have devoted family and friends in the future. This is true even though the sole Cooper daughter's personal life was previously depicted on the Big Bang Theory as being bleak. Missy was expecting her second kid on her last trip to Pasadena for Sheldon and Amy's wedding, but she wasn't happy about it because she was preparing to divorce her husband. Young Sheldon stated that she ultimately finds contentment in life, despite the fact that the Big Bang Theory never offered any further updates regarding her destiny. Young Sheldon has produced innumerable narrative holes in the Big Bang Theory throughout the years. They range in severity, some are completely unimportant, while others significantly affect how Sheldon's early years are viewed. Since some of the socially awkward genius's anecdotes were completely implausible and solely offered for comedic effect, it's tough for the CBS prequel to adhere to what he revealed about his time in Texas. In light of this, it is very reasonable if young Sheldon puts more emphasis on its own narrative than maintaining continuity for a series that is already over. Nevertheless, since the Big Bang Theory made no mention of the particular arc, the spin-off has more creative freedom when it comes to addressing Georgie and Mandy's romance. In actuality, the series made no mention of Mandy or baby Cece. It is unquestionably the strongest original storyline line that young Sheldon has developed, and it would be quite upsetting if the story of the duo didn't have a happy conclusion just because Georgie was portrayed differently in the original program. CBS should prioritize young Sheldon's storyline at this time, when the prequel has finally gained its own personality, especially given how well-liked it is. Naturally, Georgie and Mandy's romance will continue to be the main emphasis of young Sheldon Season 7. Rumor has said that the prequel may make its final appearance in the following year. It's hard to say for sure, especially in light of the ongoing dual strikes by the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. However, the project's finale can see Mandy and Georgie getting married if CBS decides to cancel the show. The couple may end up in a terrific location as a result. Depending on how the comedy develops, the Coopers might be dealing with George's untimely death, so their wedding might provide them with a reason to rejoice. Young Sheldon's Meemaw tragedy presents the engaged pair with additional difficulties prior to their wedding. Georgie, Mandy, and baby Cece are all moving in with George and Missy after the tornado destroyed Connie's home. Sheldon and Mary have more room for the three of them because they are in Germany. However, given that Mandy and Georgie are still getting used to being parents, the setting shift might not be ideal. With Meemaw no longer around to support her, Mandy will undoubtedly need some time to adjust. After 6 seasons, Missy actress Reagan Reverd demonstrates that Sheldon is no longer young Sheldon's protagonist. CBS opted to expand the nerd-centric franchise by approving a prequel that focuses on the character's childhood in Texas since Jim Parsons' portrayal of the socially awkward genius was so well-liked. As it separates from The Big Bang Theory, the family comedy has changed significantly in the more than 6 years since its premiere. With Reverd stating that its star is no longer young Sheldon's main character, the spin-off has likewise outgrown its original concept. Young Sheldon embraces its recognizable elements more as it departs from The Big Bang Theory. This indicates that more attention has been paid to the other Coopers, which benefits the program as a whole because it adds variety to the narrative. Sheldon occasionally has to take a backseat in other storylines that involve the rest of his family, but this levels the playing field for the characters. Giving him new tasks in Season 6 aims to address this, but it barely alters the reality that he is no longer the main character of Young Sheldon. Young Sheldon's debut was only an attempt to cash in on The Big Bang Theory's success. Given how much Sheldon enjoyed sharing stories from his early years, it makes sense to place the nerdy sitcom's real protagonist at the center of its narrative. The prequel's initial focus was on the kid genius, but in more recent years, that has shifted. According to Reverd, via Popternative, Sheldon's personification of young Sheldon's current principal appeal is its lack of ties to its original series. Rather, it depicts a family's actual highs and lows. It doesn't help Sheldon's case that he has spent much of his time apart from his family. He feels cut off from young Sheldon's larger plotlines because the majority of his arcs are set at East Texas Tech. In fairness, his family's storylines are more interesting than his own. The romance between Mandy and Georgie may be the prequel's most inventive storyline. In contrast, Missy is attempting to establish her own identity in a household that frequently ignores her. George and Mary are resolving their marital issues during this time. These tales are more widespread than Sheldon's collegiate science pursuits. The best course of action for young Sheldon Season 7 after 6 seasons is to focus on its familial elements. The show's establishment was aided by its emphasis on Sheldon, particularly during its run concurrently with The Big Bang Theory. But a lot has already transpired since then. Offering viewers a variety of narratives rather than just one character is far more sustainable for CBS. Additionally, young Sheldon appeals to a wider audience than just viewers of The Big Bang Theory because the stories of the other Coopers are more grounded. After Sheldon leaves, that might be the reason.